Hello everyone, my name is Abhishek and welcome back to my channel. First of all, thank you so much for the incredible response on the community poll for Golang Masterclass. To be very honest, I'm very surprised when I looked into the results of the poll. Also, I'm overwhelmed when I looked into the result because I was not expecting such a huge response in very less time. So when I looked into it, I thought, okay, I should do it as soon as possible. And today here I am, Sunday night. And for the next 45 minutes, I'm going to talk about the significance of Go language. And after watching this video, I'm very sure that whenever you're writing your next cloud native application or whenever you're building your next application, you'll definitely consider Golang as an option. So before I jump onto the video, this is a GitHub repository. Like every concept that we deal with, I always create a GitHub repository and try to cover the things that we, talked in the video, discussed in the video or in the podcast. So everything is in this GitHub repository. For this video, like you can find the references that we are going to talk in today's topic, the installation, how do we install Go language, then what are some of the important interview questions for Go language, assignments with answers. So right now this repository is in a to-do state. I'm going to enhance it more and I'm going to talk about more programs. I'm going to explain more examples using Go language. So if you want to learn Go language going ahead right now or after watching this video, so you can click on the star button and you can get the updates for this repository. Whereas if you want to contribute to it, you can fork the repository and you can also create a pull request. Okay, now let's go back. And the first thing that I have for today is this slide where I'm going to explain what are some of the top companies that are using Go language. Now you might feel this is not that important, but Go language was introduced back in 2012 and right now it is 2023, like 11 years of period. The problem here is one section of software engineering, like if you talk about DevOps, SRE, cloud native. So this ecosystem is using a lot of Go language, whereas the other ecosystem, like if you talk about traditional applications, web application development, if you're talking about AI, ML, so very less number of people use Go language in this space. So for some people, Go language might be very new. For some people might have heard about Go language, but they might have not used it. So I just want to keep everybody on the same page and explain that Go language is another popular programming language. If you have not heard about it, so these are some of the popular companies that are using Go language. So you can trust Go language as a language that can be used to build robust, resilient, and secure applications. Sorry. So some of the companies that are using Go language are Google. So Google is one of the inventors of Go language. So back in 2012, so the principal engineers at Google, Robert, Rob, and Ken. So these are the people who invented Go language. And of course, because they have introduced it, they have successfully proved that Go language is the future of concurrent application programming language. Sorry, if you want to build applications that deal with concurrency. So Google uses a lot of Go language. And then you have Netflix, you have Meta, Microsoft. Personally, Uber, you can read about the success stories of Uber. Like if you go to the Uber docs or Uber blogs, you can see that Uber explains how they have used Go language to improve their caching, their success story. Today, Uber also contributes back to the Go community with their logging packages and all. So yeah, so these are some of the top companies just for your reference. The next slide is very important because these are some of the very popular applications that have successfully used Go language. And if you are in the field of DevOps or if you're in the field of SRE, you might have definitely looked into these applications like Kubernetes, Docker, Drone CI, Terraform, Prometheus, HashiCorp Vault, Flux, Consul, Argo CD. They are like the popular applications in this cloud native space, right? So if you have used these applications before, and if you don't know that these applications are written in Go language, yeah, no problem. But after today, whenever you look into this GitHub repositories, and if you decide to learn Go language, you can go back and contribute to these applications as well, because all of these applications are open sourced. And Google Cloud, it does not use Go language completely, but to some extent, like it's managed Kubernetes service and some other areas of Google Cloud, yeah, they use Go language. So the first thing that we have to understand whenever you learn about a new programming language is why that programming language, right? So what we will learn today is why Golang. We'll try to understand the concept of self-contained binaries. We'll try to understand, is it better than Java? Is it better than Python? When you should use Python, when you should use Java, and when you can use Golang over them. So these are some of the things that we'll learn. And then, like all of these applications, many people might know, most of them are incubated and graduated projects at Cloud Native Computing Foundation. So why Golang is a very popular choice for CNCF applications? We'll try to learn that. And you can start reading about Golang from any place. The first thing that you will read about the advantages of Go language is multi-threading. So that's why today we'll focus a lot on the multi-threading of Go language. We'll try to understand why multi-threading is better in Go language compared to other programming languages. I also have an example today where I've written a program using multi-threading in Go language and Java. I can show you the performance difference or the time difference that those runtimes have taken to execute. Then once you understand all of these things, if you still decide, or if you have taken a decision to start learning Go language, then you can follow this video to understand the easy ways to learn Go language, some of the references, some of the plugins. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting discussion. So firstly, let's start with why Go language. Like I told you, if you have decided to learn about any programming language, whether it is Java, whether it is Python, whether it is Rust, whether it is Ruby on Rails, Groovy, anything, the first thing that you should think is, why am I learning this programming language? Because there are hundreds of programming languages, right? So what is the difference that this programming language is going to offer? Only then you will understand if you want to write your next application in this programming language or not. For example, today after watching this video, I can start learning Go language. But if I don't understand why is it better than the other programming language, I will go back and write the application again in the programming language that I'm comfortable with. So I'll not decide that, okay, I have to write this in Go language. So to understand these why aspects of a programming language, I'm going to cover what is the necessity of using Go language over other programming languages. The first thing, like I told you, the first advantage of Go language is its concurrency. So what is concurrency? First of all, so concurrency is nothing but if you're using Instagram, if you're using Facebook, if you're using any of these social media or influencing applications, so already you are part of concurrency because you are using these applications concurrently with other people, right? So I'm using Instagram, you are using Instagram. Parallelly, we both might be using Instagram together. So Instagram should be capable of serving you and serving me. So that is concurrency. So concurrently, when multiple people or multiple user, it can be thousands, it can be millions, it can be hundreds. So when multiple users are trying to use the same application, and if your application is capable of serving all the concurrent users, then that means your application is supporting concurrency. Now, traditionally, you can achieve concurrency using multiple ways. One is multi-processing, one is multi-threading, and other ways. But the popular choice of concurrency is multi-threading. Right? So to restrict the discussion, let's not bring in all programming languages, but let's try to understand the concurrency with Java and Go language so that it will be much clear. Whereas if I am talking about Python, right, it will be an entirely different discussion because Python is not 100% threaded programming language. It kind of implements threading using some other modules or packages. But yeah, in general, Python uses multi-processing a lot and threading can be achieved. So let's not go into Python. So let's try to understand with Java and Go language, and let's try to understand the differences. So out of the box, if you are a programmer and if you try to achieve multi-threading in Java, so the first thing is you use some you write a thread, and what happens under the hood is this thread is served by the kernel, right? So in Java, out of the box, you are dealing with the kernel level threads. So the kernel level threads, if you are aware of Linux, basically in Linux there are two components. One is user space and one is kernel space. And whenever there is a thread that you are writing, or whenever there is a thread that is going to be executed, so it goes to the kernel in Java, and this kernel handles the thread. Okay, and it performs the thread. It keeps thread in the wait state, processing state, execution state, whatever it is. And when there are multiple threads, again, each of the thread is submitted to the kernel. Kernel performs the operation. But the problem is that whenever you are writing threads that are executed by kernel, they are very heavy in nature. Okay, so the kernel level threads are not only heavy in nature, but they are also memory and CPU exhausting. They are very extensive things. So they consume a lot of CPU and they consume a lot of memory. So to solve this problem, and there is also one more challenge, that whenever you are dealing with kernel level threads, so the context switching between each and every thread, because you might have, for your application, Instagram might have hundreds of threads, thousands of threads. So there has to be a context switching, like there has to be a switching from one thread to the other thread. So if you're using kernel level threads, even that is not easy. It takes a lot of time. So to solve this problem, what the engineers who have built Go has said is, okay, so it is taking a lot of time for the kernel level threads. What we will try to do is we will try to solve this problem using user level threads. So user level threads are the threads that execute in the user space, whereas kernel level threads execute in the kernel space. So what happens is, whenever you are dealing with the user level threads, you will avoid kernel completely. So in Go language, what the developers have done, the developers of Go have done, is in the Go runtime itself, they have created something called as Go scheduler. So using this Go scheduler, what you can achieve is, whenever there are multiple threads, so they don't go to the kernel space, they just go to the user space, they go to your Go runtime, they go to the Go scheduler, and Go scheduler and Go runtime takes place of executing these threads, solving these threads, performing the threads, and end of the day, they don't even reach the kernel space. So that's how they are not only lightweight in nature, they consume a very little RAM and memory when compared to the kernel level threads, and they are also very fast. So this is how the concurrency. So if you are wondering that you want to take notes of the entire thing that I've stated, don't worry. I have everything in the GitHub repository. Like if you have the link of my GitHub repository, you can understand all of these things. Okay, you can go through that. I've shown you the GitHub repository at the first of the video, right? Then scalability and performance. Like if you have seen this first deck, I don't even have to talk about the scalability and performance. So it's proven that Go language is very better in terms of performance and scalability. Like for example, if you deal with Kubernetes today, you can scale your Kubernetes to hundreds and thousands of nodes, right? And if you are talking about the performance, so very performance oriented. So what Go language has done is, whenever the scalability and performance comes to your mind, right? Or if you are a developer who want to write your applications with the approach of scalability and performance, of course you will deal your scalability and performance using concurrency. So because Go language has solved the problem of concurrency, it has improved concurrency, so definitely your applications will be very scalable and performance oriented as well. Lightweight threads, something that I've just covered. And the next topic is garbage collection. So the one other reasons why you have to use Go language is, Go language does not ask its developer to deal with garbage collection. For example, if you are writing your applications, so as a developer, you don't have to worry about, okay, is my memory managed or not? Like for example, you have created an array, you have deleted. So is my array or is my slice removed or not? Is the garbage collection executed, and if it removed the memory that I've created or not, right? So you don't have to worry about all of these things, because Go runtime handles the garbage collection by default. So it has advanced or automatic garbage collection. That is one another reason why you should consider Go language. Then you have very simple syntax. Whenever I show you the example of Go language, like I have a couple of references as well, so you'll understand that it has a very simple syntax when compared to the other programming languages, and it is cross platform compatible. What does this mean is, let's say I'm on Mac and I'm writing a Golang application, but I want to make sure that this application is executable on Linux, right? It can be executed on Linux, or it can be executed on Windows, or it only has to be executed on Windows. So even from my Mac machine, I can just pass some arguments to my Golang build process, and using this arguments, it can understand that, okay, you are trying to cross compile this binary, and your binary should be executed on Windows or Linux, and your task will be performed. So that's how Go language can achieve the cross platform compatibility as well. So even on your Mac, you can build the binary for Windows. Even on your Mac, you can build the binaries for Linux. On Linux, you can build the binary for Mac. You can do all of this cross-platform compatibility. Okay, the next thing is it is easy to deploy. So in the previous slide, I talked about the self-contained binaries, right? So the self-contained binary is nothing but, let's say, I explained, but I'm just want to spend another 2 minutes here. So if you are writing a Java application, you don't have to worry about like, if you build an application, right? So you created a jar file, war file, and you don't have to worry about it like on the target machine, do I have Java runtime or not? If you don't have the Java runtime, your application cannot be executed. So your Docker container or the Docker image that you are writing should also have the Java runtime. Whereas with Go language, you don't have to worry about it. So the Go language binary itself is self-contained. It has a runtime and it can even execute your threads. I've been bragging a lot about concurrency, right? Whenever I say that concurrency is better, it's my responsibility to show you with a practical example. So this is a very simple program. If you are a Java developer, you will understand what I've written here. If you are already a Golang developer, you will understand what I've written here. But on a very high level, what it does is I'm just creating 10 threads and this program will exit once all the 10 threads are executed. That's it. It's a very simple program. It does not have any other things. Only things that you are seeing here are the import statements that are required for threading in Java. And I'm just using some basic modules like FMT sync and time for Golang. So of course, I've taken help of internet for writing this Java application. I'm not, I don't say that I've written this by my own, but if you try to compare the performance between this Go application and this Java application, which technically are doing the same things, they're just starting some 10 threads and they will exit as soon as the 10 threads are performed. You can clearly see the time difference. I just use the time Linux command, and this is how you execute your Go binary, and this is how you execute your Java binary, right? So I just prefixed it with the time command so that it will throw you the time that is taken for the execution of the program, and clearly it says that there is a time difference between first and second. That is, there is a clear time difference between Golang execution application execution and Java application execution. So that itself tells you that Golang applications are very fast. So to prove, I mean, I just don't want to prove that Golang applications are faster, but I also want to prove you that these threads that I am creating, like, when I say that the applications are faster, I don't want to write simple calculation application, or I don't want to write, any basic application, but I want to use the threads and demonstrate this. So that's the reason why I just created some 10 threads, and this program that you are executing are executing the threads. So in other way, I've also proved you that the concurrency is much better in Go language than in Java. Okay, so this is how, you can try these examples by yourself as well. What I'll try to do is I'll try to put these examples in the GitHub repository as well. But one thing that you have to keep in mind is whenever you are trying to execute these things, you have to make sure that you execute both of them, right, on the same machine. Like, you cannot run this on your personal laptop. You cannot run this on an EC2 instance and say that I have proved Java applications are faster. No, execute on the same machine that has same specs, right? So that you understand, okay, you can ensure that both Java and Go language are given with same opportunity, and when executed, Golang is much faster than Java, right? So this is the example for why Go language self-contained binary, and I've also talked about multi-threading. I've shown you with example, and I'll come to this aspect later, but I want to cover two more interesting aspects. That is it better than Java? Is it better than Python? So this question here, okay, instead of just explaining, what I've done is I've also written this here. Like, you can go to the readme.md and you can read this section called better than Java or not. So because I'm doing the Go masterclass, I just don't want to say that you should always write your applications in Go and Go is better than Java. No, that's not even true. Even if somebody is saying that, don't believe that, because Java is a strong, it has been a programming language that has been there for a long time, right? So it has some strong enterprise frameworks, that even with Go language, you have frameworks like Mux, you have Jin, you have other frameworks. But if you compare those frameworks with the Spring Boot or any robust frameworks that Java supports, so you cannot compare them with the frameworks that Golang is supporting. So these frameworks are there for a long time. They have very good community support. They have been tested for a long time. There are new versions of those frameworks. So yeah, they are very advanced frameworks in Java, right? Whenever you want to deal with web applications, especially web applications, and when you want to deal with strong frameworks in your organization, right? In such cases, you can choose Java over Go language. And it also helps you to catch the errors. Like if you're using Java, right? So in Java, there is a very strong typing system. So you can catch the errors during your compile time. And even with Golang, you can do that to some extent. But the advantage that you have is the strong type system, strong frameworks. And if you are dealing with concurrency, if you are dealing, this is very important. If your choice is concurrency, if your choice is writing cloud native applications, if your choice is scaling and performance, right? In such cases, you should definitely consider Go language, or at least give it a try. If you don't believe me, give it a try. I've shown you with an example, but you can try it by yourself. Like write a very simple application, like take a very small part of your organizational application, take a very simple microservice, try it with Go language, try it with Java. If you have concurrency, if you have scalability in picture, if you have all of these aspects in picture, then you will understand that Go language is a preferred choice. Whereas you don't want concurrency, or you just want to write some simple web applications, then you can move towards Java because they have strong frameworks. So this is something that I wanted to mention here. And coming to Python, so again, Python, if you are using scripting, or if your applications are not focused on multi-threading, the same aspect. And Python application is not even faster when compared to Java. Like the only advantage that Python has over these programming languages, not only, I'm sorry to say that, but the advantage that Python has over Java and Go language is that, so Python is a very easy programming language, and it has a support for a lot of modules, and it can be very simply written. Like you don't have to write hundreds of thousands of lines using Python. So, and it is also dynamically typed, right? So you don't have to decide, okay, what this variable is going to be. So you have a flexibility as a program developer. So these are the things. Like if you want concurrency, go with Go language. If you want simple web applications with strong robust frameworks, go for Java. If you want to write very simple applications, or if you are in the field of ML, AI, which have strong support for Python, good ecosystem, then in such cases you can go with Python. So and if you want to write the CLI applications, so this is another important thing. If you want to write the CLI applications, then you can either go with Python or Go language. And many of the CLI applications these days, like the AWS CLI, Azure CLI, they are written in Python. But again, even for the CLIs, Go language has very good support with strong frameworks. So you can either go with Python or Go language for your CLI based applications. So this is a comparison between Python and Java for Go language. Now moving to the interesting aspect, that is, if you want to start learning Go language, right? Let's say you have decided that, okay, I'll give it a try because the DevOps ecosystem is in Go language. I want to build my future applications keeping concurrency in mind. I want to build very simple applications with self-contained binaries. I don't have to worry that, okay, the end target system has Go language or not. It can create very lightweight containers, right? So if you want to do all of these things, and if you want to learn Go language, so the first thing that you should do is you need to understand where do you start from, right? So that's why go with this references page. So if you go to the references page, or you can also go with this page called Golang Go. Like Golang is an organization, go here. So there is something called wiki, right? For every GitHub page, there is a section called wiki. So if you go to this official Golang GitHub repository, and if you move towards wiki, so this is something called as Golang wiki. And here you have all the details, like where should you start learning Golang from? Like getting started with Go, working with Go, learning more about Go, the Go community, right? What are some of the popular applications in the Go community? How can you start your open source contributions with Go? more on concurrency, like if you want to learn more than what we have discussed just now, you can click here. You can read another interesting aspects like additional things about Go concurrency. So all of these things, if you want to learn, you can start from this Go wiki, or you can also take a look at my references, where this is something called as Awesome Go. So this is a very good repository. Apart from the Go wiki things, what this one has is, like, it curates all the packages of Go. For example, if you are starting with Go language, and if you want to understand how to write email related things, like you can click on here, and these are a bunch of the email related packages in Go. Or if you want to for example, you want to deal with Lua, so here you have Go Lua packages. Or if you want to deal with any other things, so this Awesome Go is a repository which is a structured way of understanding the each and every package of Go. If you want to try any topic, you can come here. For example, logging, you can just search for log, click on logging, and these are all the logging packages that Go supports today, or the popular choices for Go. So you can read through each of them, compare them, and you can start your own log. I mean, you can use the logging package for Go. You can decide and you can use. So these are some of the repositories that I have, and the popular choices for using Go is, one is Visual Studio Code, right? So what I do is I use personally Visual Studio Code 5. So this is the Visual Studio Code version. But if you have enterprise option, like in your organization, if you can buy licenses, or let's say for some reason you have option for purchasing licenses through some coupons, right? You can go with Goland, Goland. So Goland is you will not get it for free, but of course Visual Studio Code is also another popular choice. So today I use Visual Studio Code for my Golang application development. Whenever I'm doing my open source contributions, or I'm writing my new application, I use my Visual Studio Code version 5. And just come here, click on the plugins, right? There is an option for extensions, search for Go. Okay, I provided the packages in the references section. So here are the packages that you should have as a Go developer. Like you should have the Go package install itself, Go doc, Go outliner, Go test. And just by searching on Go, okay, go back to your Visual Studio Code. So these are all bunch of Go plugins and extensions. Apart from this, you can also use the Code GPT. So in previous class, I showed you the advantage of using Code GPT. Let's say you are stuck somewhere, or you want to understand what is this test doing or something, you can also use the Code GPT plugin. So these are the references for Go language. If you want to learn about the interview questions, you have a lot of interview questions here. Assignments, if you just want to start writing your first Go program, you can take this very simple example, right? Finally, one final advice that I have is this wonderful website called Go Playground. Okay, before that I can show you Go by examples. So this is a very important website called Go by examples. Here you have all the topics of Go language, and each topic is provided with example. For example, you want to learn Hello World, click on this, you have example for Hello World, right? You can understand how to write this program, and you can go to the any other section. Let's say you want to learn about maps, click on the maps, you have example with explanation. Okay, so this is the line here. If you don't know what this line is doing, you can understand from here. Okay, so this is a very curated list of all the packages and all the concepts in Go, and you can click on anything here. Go routines, which is concurrency in Go, you can understand the topics about Go routines. Okay, so this is how you learn Go. And if you think that I should do more videos on Go, probably if you want to learn Go, or if you want me to do a complete Go series, then definitely put the link, definitely comment below, and click on the like button, share this video with your friends. I'll definitely consider doing more videos on Go. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you.